All right, let's talk about a huge, and I mean huge, question in any kind of business transformation. We spend so much time figuring out what we need to do and how we're going to do it, but so often the whole thing just grinds to a halt. We're going to dig into why that happens and how the real answer might be hiding in plain sight, the humble org chart. Okay, let's get into it.
You know the story, right? It's so frustrating. You've got this brilliant strategy, a super detailed project plan, everyone's fired up. And then, a few months down the line, everything just stalls. Decisions get stuck in limbo, and all that amazing energy just vanishes. So why does this keep happening over and over again?
I mean, we're professionals. We are fantastic at defining the what, the big strategic goals. We're great at spelling out the why, that compelling vision. And we spend countless hours mapping out the how, all the processes and the initiatives to get us there. We think we've covered all the bases.
But what if, in all that meticulous planning, we completely missed the single most critical variable for actually getting things done? What if the problem isn't the plan at all, but the fact that we never really nailed down who is ultimately on the hook for every single piece of it?
This is what leads to something we can call the accountability gap. You know that feeling? It's that murky space where everyone kind of thinks someone else is responsible. It pops up when our org structure, our map of people, is totally disconnected from the actual work that needs to happen. And when that map is wrong, accountability just evaporates.
So what's the fix? Well, the solution requires us to completely rethink the entire purpose of our organizational structure. It's time to draw a new map for our work, one that's actually built for clarity and for action. We have to stop seeing the org chart as just a boring diagram of who reports to who. Its real purpose, especially when you're trying to change things, is to be the literal backbone of accountability. Its one and only job is to make sure that every single strategic goal, every key metric, and every process has a clear, undeniable owner. So, how do we actually build this thing? It all starts with something called the vertical cascade. The whole idea is to create a crystal clear line of sight for accountability that flows from the very top of the company right down to the people on the front lines. And this cascade works across 4 really distinct levels. So at the very top, L1, you've got the head of the whole operation, let's say the CEO. They own the big picture strategic KPIs. That ownership then flows down to L2, the main departments, like a permits department, who are on the hook for the leading KPIs that drive that strategy. Then, below them at L3, you've got the subunits, the actual inspection teams, who own the day-to-day operational metrics. And finally, at L4, you have the individual, the single permit inspector, who's executing the work. See? Every single level has clear connected ownership. Okay, that clear vertical cascade is powerful, for sure. But it doesn't solve one of the biggest plagues in any organization, silos. To bust those up, we need to design for the horizontal dimension, basically forcing teams to work together. Let's go back to our permits department. Let's say their main L2 metric, the number they live and die by, is average permit approval time. Now, just think about that for a second. Can one single team control that entire number? No way. And that's because the total approval time depends on a whole bunch of L3 teams. The application processing folks have to be fast, the inspection team has to be super efficient, and the legal review team has to be on the ball. They are all structurally chained together by that one shared L2 goal. And here's the crucial point. With this kind of model, collaboration isn't some fluffy nice to have. It's a structural necessity. It's built right in. The L2 leader literally cannot succeed unless their L3 teams work together. The system makes their shared dependency completely explicit. You simply can't win on your own. So this all brings us to a really different way of looking at things. If our structure is a map for accountability, well, then it can't be some static document we dust off once a year. It has to be a living, breathing asset that actually evolves right alongside the strategy. Think of the difference this way. A static structure, that's a liability. It's a rigid bureaucracy that's totally disconnected from the real work. But a dynamic structure, that's a strategic asset. It's an agile entity that is designed to serve the strategy, adapting as you build new things and change your processes. And this shift in mindset, it leads to a really critical insight. In this model, even a single vacant job isn't just an empty box on a chart. Because every single role is tied to a specific KPI, that one vacancy represents a direct, measurable risk to performance. That one missing legal reviewer, they could be the single point of failure that stalls your entire permit process, a risk you can now actually see and manage.
All right, I know that was a lot to take in.
So let's quickly boil it down to the most important things you need to remember from all this.
So first off, your org structure needs to be your map of accountability, directly linking people to metrics. Second, that accountability has to cascade cleanly through those 4 distinct levels. Third, your structure has to be dynamic, a living asset that can adapt. And finally, a great structure is designed from the ground up to smash silos by forcing teams to collaborate around shared goals.
When you put this all together, it's an incredibly powerful shift. When your org structure is this deeply connected to real-time data, it basically becomes part of a digital twin of your company, a living virtual model of your whole operation. And that lets leaders stop guessing and start managing their people, their performance, and their risks with actual data-driven precision. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought to take back to your own team. Take a hard look at your org chart. Is it really an asset that's clarifying who owns what and speeding up your strategy? Or is it a liability, an old map that's just creating confusion and holding everybody back? The answer to that question could change absolutely everything.